Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking blog writing 101, as my blog is one of my most valuable assets. I've made immeasurable value for my blog, like over the hundreds of thousands of dollars from leads, product sales, book sales, things like that. And so if you are writing for your own blog or you've been hired to write a blog post for somebody else, then this video is for you. This is blog writing 101, so I'm not going to go into detail about SEO or AI tools. Those are going to be for separate videos. This is just what a blog should look like when it's high quality, when it's done right, and what is the standard of quality in my mind from my experience. And if you don't know anything about my blog, it's ranked #1 on Google for a lot of different keywords that I have targeted over the years. I have been writing on my blog since I was 12. I started making money from affiliate marketing from my blog and from other blogs that I ran that had tens of thousands of followers from a long time. And so I have a lot of experience with blogging, and I've made a lot of money from blogging over the years. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it. And blogs are a great tool if you're a company looking to grow your income through passive traffic that is free, because people who are searching on Google are free because you don't have to pay for ads to reach them. And they're also going to have that self-confirmation bias when they find you on Google rather than having to click on an ad to find you. And so it's an incredibly powerful tool. It's still relevant today in the world of AI, and I think that this is still something that people should be doing until, AI replaces search engines. And so because it has not happened yet, I still recommend blogs and people still find them valuable. And so we're going to talk about one of the blog posts that I wrote today and kind of using that as an example of how to write a great blog. So you'll notice right at the top, when people are searching for something in your topic, it should be almost identical to your blog post titles. Don't get too cutesy with these. You want people to see this blog post and be like, oh, I need that. That is for me. That has been written for me. And so the title of this blog post is How to Self-Publish a Book on Amazon, the Ultimate Guide. And so I want people who are typing into Google, how do I self-publish a book on Amazon? Or a guide on how to publish a book on Amazon. That is the people that I'm targeting. And like I said, I'll go into keyword research a little bit later to show you how I come up with these keywords, how I find this. There's a bunch of great AI tools that are going to help with this during your process. But you have to think of the title as both kind of clickbait and a reason to directly address your reader and say, hey, this blog post is going to solve your problem. And so basically what I immediately go into in the beginning, right underneath the photo of the blog post, you should always have a photo, and then immediately go into your introduction. And so this introduction is basically a persuasive reason why people should read this blog post and why this is going to provide value to them. And so this is kind of your chance to sell them on why they should spend their valuable time reading this blog post, especially because people don't like reading these days. And so you have to keep your introduction short. These paragraphs should be short. As you know, I very rarely have a paragraph over 3 lines and constantly use links, either links to content within your website or links to really relevant sources. You don't want too many links that are going outside of your blog, but if you do, they should be high authority sites. So that means sites that are very high quality and good sources if you're linking to a source or something. And you should absolutely have links within your blog when possible so that you can increase, reduce the bounce rate and keep people on your website rather than them clicking off and disappearing and forgetting about you. And so your introduction needs to be both persuasive, but it also needs to tell them, what you're going to talk about in this blog post and put it into perspective and be like, you want to know this. Why? Why am I the authority on saying this? And so I start being like, my new book is coming out this week. Like, I have gone through this process. I am an authority. I know how to do this. And, and so that's kind of like why I immediately make that pitch. And then I also put a call to action here. I also put a call to action at the end. I think you should also include a call to action in your introduction, but you should make it a lot softer. This is a personal preference. Not all of your clients are going to agree, or if you're writing for other blogs, it just kind of depends. But I put a subtle call to action where I have a link to my service page and talk a little bit about what I do for clients on the publishing side, because I help people not only write their memoirs as a memoir ghostwriter, but I also help people publish their books. So that's kind of why I think that this introduction has to do a lot of heavy lifting. So spend some time on it because it's important. Because if people read this and they're bored, they're going to click off. Another thing about blog posts is you're writing on the internet, so it needs to be choppy, not choppy, I think that's the wrong word. It needs to be concise and clever and really move things along and be in the tone of your blog post or that your audience is most going to kind of like kind of get pulled in by. But it does need to be like, it needs to move. Your blog post has to move. And so you'll see that the second most important thing in your blog is subheadings. You'll also notice that these sections are not super long. I have a lot of subheadings so that people can really scroll through, see what subheadings are most relevant to the things that they want to solve. And if a section is longer, I make sure to have a lot of lists, a lot of bold, a lot of links. And so it's really important to kind of like, and then I also break it up with photos, which are also important. And like I said, if you have a blog post that's more technical or more editorial, you might have less photos than me. You might read a little bit different. So every blog is going to have a little bit of a different feel. I'm just kind of also walking you through a little bit of some of my best practices for my blog. You're going to have to adjust this if you're writing for different clients, but overall, I think that readable, skimmable is really important. If you're writing for a very professional industry and you're kind of going for more sophisticated, like high kind of profile, like kind of consumers, you might not do a list like this. You might end up doing like more paragraphs, but you still want to make sure that those paragraphs are like 3 to 4 lines, still have a little bit of bold here and there, have good links and things like that. And so if you're writing for a little bit more upscale kind of clientele, the blog post might feel a little bit more editorial, but you still want it to read and flow and move pretty fast. And so that's kind of like the way that the blog should look and feel, is it should be readable, skimmable, like very internet friendly with people's attention spans. And it should kind of like flow pretty quickly through the process. As you see, I can scroll down to the bottom and I immediately can see what I want to stop and read or kind of go back to. And so that's kind of my idea with blogs, is like how I've been able to like rank really well, is to make sure that you're providing a lot of value without wasting people's time. So that's kind of the key with blogs. And then at the bottom, you'll see I have another call to action where I have a button, tell me about your project, and then I have a little Pinterest pin. Once again, depending on who you're writing for, this call to action might be a whole paragraph talking about the company's services. When you're writing a blog, it's kind of doing a little bit of heavy lifting in a few different ways. You're trying to provide free value to people so that they get information that is very specific, hard to find, and through your lens as an expert or as a company, and it should also convince them to work with you or buy from you because it's something that they will find value in your services. And so if you're writing a blog post for a company, it's really important that at the end you have a sales pitch that kind of sums up like, hey, if you're reading this blog post and this was helpful, obviously change that language to make it sophisticated if you're writing for a sophisticated brand, or more conversational if you're writing for a more conversational brand. And then make your pitch of like, if you found this blog post useful, we do this, we do X, Y, Z. For these types of customers, like let us know if you want to book a discovery call or whatever the call to action is specific to that company. And so when you're writing a blog post for somebody else, the thing that you want to focus on is, who am I writing to? Because that'll change kind of like your approach when it comes to how specific am I going to get in each of these sections. Like, are these going to read like a list? Is this going to be more of kind of like editorial, like paragraphs? Like, what does this audience want from this blog post? What is going to be the most useful for them? What are they going to want to see? And then it's going to also help you understand, like, how hard is the sales pitch at the bottom? Like, does this audience need a little bit of a lighter touch with the sales pitch? Does this need to be a little bit more conversational best friend vibe? Does this need to link to another free resource that they can go to and download in exchange for their email address for a lead magnet? Like, understanding your audience and like the goal of this company that you're writing for, or understanding your blog and what your goal is, will help you kind of really think about like how to structure your blog post for your audience. And so that are some of the basics of blogging when it comes to thinking about a great title that is very clickable, a great introduction that also has a little bit of the soft call to action, and also why you should be reading this blog post. Great subheadings that also have keywords in them that people are searching. More in keyword research later. You should also include your keywords throughout multiple times through your blog posts that feel natural so they don't stick out like a sore thumb. And then lists, bold, links, research. Research is something that a lot of people ignore. If you have a great statistic, if you have some good research, link that here. If there's a chart that you found, like include some good research if it's relevant to the company, especially if you're doing more professional blog writing. You should have some statistics, especially if they add nuance to the discussion. And so try to do some research if it is relevant to what you're writing about. Obviously, I was kind of more writing about my personal experience here, and so I didn't include any here. But generally, if you have some good research or good statistic, it can really make your blog post feel that much more persuasive. So blog posts are persuasive writing. They're also conversations with your reader. I like to be more on the conversational side, but once again, it depends on your blog, who you're writing for, things like that. So stay tuned for more videos on how to use AI to speed up the blogging and SEO process, how to rank higher on Google using these tools, and how to build out a successful blog depending on what you're looking for. Happy blogging. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.